Welcome to the Ancient Way. I'm James.
I'm Marlia.
Uh, I guess my headphones don't work, by the way.
Oh no,
I mean, every time I plug them in and try to do the episode with those, I think the quality's better, but for some reason it hasn't been working. So,
that's a bummer.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Anyways,
I don't know why when you introduced, I literally had that song "Guess Who's Back," Shady's back. It just like popped into my head.
oh, great. That
Should
could
put
be the
that
new
in.
theme song if we can get like the rights to it.
That's true. Throw that in there.
That's hilarious. Yeah.
I don't know why.
Well, I don't know. It kind of feels that way a little bit. We've actually been 3 weeks in a row gotten on here, been able to do an
Crazy.
episode actually. So maybe we are back from
Hey,
the
you know what I was thinking about the other day?
uh
Is that dream that I had. Remember where I was told that we were basically starting over?
Yeah. Was that the one with Bobby Connor in it?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just funny. I was like, that kind of happened. We
Kind of
took a
did.
hiatus.
Kind of did. Well, we kind of like lost everything. We kind of lost all of our toys.
Uh huh.
So now we're like, from scratch. Not from scratch, but like I guess equipment wise from scratch. But that's okay.
It's fun.
It is fun, and we're you
We're
know
getting
we're doing
innovative.
the meat of what we do, and so that's what matters. But we
It's
we got
true.
some cool little things that might help us get back to where we were, equipment wise.
You never know.
But we're like cockroaches. We won't die. Take away our microphone, we'll figure something out.
That's literally it.
Good. Yeah. Yeah.
The gift that keeps
Anyways,
on giving.
we may, I think we do have some cool potential pathways to getting our good microphones back somehow, and some more doing video again.
Oh yeah.
We will get there.
Yeah. So I wanted to jump in. James actually super cool. James like actually spoke at church yesterday. Had an incredible message. And I wanted to kind of go into it more, kind of talk about it, just because there are so many things in it that I resonated with.
Yeah.
I felt such a sense of like you were like charging the warriors up of like this is the battle. This is the battle of faith that we're
Mm.
in. Where you either choose to live in the simulation or you choose to live out of the simulation.
Yeah.
And it was very inspiring for me.
Cool.
Um
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, it was
So
inspiring. Like I didn't. Um, Whenever I started to write it, I literally like prayed like what could I uniquely bring as a message to the house that's like
mhm.
timely or whatever. And it was faith is what popped into my head, like literally the namesake of the house of faith, household of faith. And I was like, a lot of that stuff that I was saying, like I need to hear that for myself,
Yeah.
particularly of when the going gets tough,
Yeah.
when you're at the end of your rope, like that's a good place.
Oh yeah, man, you did that analogy. That was one thing I wanted to bring up. I thought it was so good. You went into like when you're at the end of your rope,
Yeah,
like you've actually hit the fence
yeah,
and that fence is ready to be knocked over.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, you probably wrote it down and said it way better than I,
That's
but
all I wrote down. That's all I wrote down. And then as I was writing it down, I was like, crap, yeah. Because I'm stuck in a couple different places like that where like a lot of that stuff, even like getting to the point where like, forget this. God's not even real. This is a joke. This is like imagination with no meaning to it. Getting to that place of like, this is stupid. I'm just going to quit and I'm going to go, who knows, I'm going to go turn to the dark side, or I'm going to go whatever,
yeah.
getting to that point because I've felt that like recently. So
Mm.
like even sitting down, having a chance to sit down and like, what do you want to say to the house? It's kind of like him talking to me too. Like, hey, by the way, this stuff that you're stuck in, you and other people probably is actually a good thing. And then that turned into like the whole expanding the tent pegs thing. But
Mm.
it made me think of it. It did make me think of like that's heaven on earth. Like
Yeah.
you are actively every second that you persist in the faith, you are actively expanding heaven on earth. And like you knock the fence over or you expand it, your yard grows. The yard of heaven grows. But it starts
Mm.
obviously inside of us because we're the conduits of it. But seeing it as a good place, seeing it as like, oh no, you're at the place you know, where expanse happens. And that a lot of people don't make it, it gets to a certain point where a lot of people they do quit or back out or whatever. Understandably so. It is hard sometimes.
Yeah, this, especially when you're walking what I feel like is blind,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
People like, to me that's what faith is. Like you have to go into that thing blind
Yeah.
because faith comes by hearing. It doesn't come by seeing.
Yep.
And it's like
That's true.
you may have heard something from the Lord, but you don't see it, and you're definitely not going to see it. You're going to
Uh-huh.
probably see the exact opposite of it, especially if it's the specific purpose and calling that the Lord has put on you
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
so that you're tested.
Yeah.
It's just like how I have felt myself in that wrestle. Like, how much are you willing to give?
Yeah.
How much are you willing to let go and actually live by faith
Yeah.
and not create your own projections or your own scenarios?
Yeah. Yeah. But to actually be in the real scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you can say it all day, like, yeah, walk by faith, not by sight, or whatever. You can say that stuff all day, but you can't actually do it unless you're like in the middle of it.
Not till you apply it.
Yeah. And and it's like tough, crappy stuff. Not just
It
tough,
is.
crappy stuff, but situations, are chances to actually live it. That's like
Mm-hmm.
my thought is like as Christians, we're supposed to live out these things, and we've always said that before. Like even peace that surpasses understanding. That's not a saying. That's something we get to experience
Oh
and we
yeah.
get to showcase, and it's like cave diving. We get to dive into these deep dark caves that nobody's ever explored before, that we haven't explored before, and like hook a lantern up and shed
Mm-hmm.
some light in that area. And it's like a checkpoint. Um, but yeah.
Yeah, man. It just made me think like the last 2 weeks have been really, really, really intense for
Mhm.
me.
Yeah.
Um, just emotional stuff coming up and just all the things. And had some pretty good blow ups with my family.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, just over Thanksgiving and
Happy Thanksgiving. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was cool because I actually got to see how much of the fruit I stayed in,
Yeah.
and like really kind of able to navigate like, yo, that's not me.
Mm,
Like I know it feels like that's me, but that's actually a projection coming from you. And
yeah.
but the funny thing about that is even when you feel like, hey, I'm regulated, I'm emotionally stable, like this is good, all those familiar things that even when you're like passing a test, if you will,
Hmm.
those familiar things still come and knock on the door.
Yeah.
And like, so then I felt like over the last couple of weeks, I was just wrestling with this shame monster. Like, well,
Yeah.
you should have known.
Mm,
It's like, but I would have to remind yourself by faith. It's like, no, no, like I actually was okay in that, where shame wants to tell you that, XYZ.
yeah.
And one night this past week, I told the Lord, I was like, yo, I need reinforcements here. Like,
Yeah.
will you please? give me something. And then it was actually right after we had that podcast on Monday last
Hmm.
week. Bexley and I ended up having the exact same dream,
Yeah.
the exact same night, and it lit me up. It was like the very thing that I was afraid of. She, I had the dream of what my fear was.
Yeah.
She had the dream of what the answer was. We
Yeah.
were in
Yeah.
the same place, the same scenario, and literally the very, like, I was afraid for her, which is a lot of my generational stuff. And she comes and tells me, "Hey, I'm in this place with you, whatever," but I wasn't afraid. I was like, "Oh, okay." Well, there was something so deep in my heart that I could feel like the Lord is still wanting to kind of uproot of just my fear and carrying a lot of shame and condemnation, that he knocked on that door on Sunday morning before, you even spoke. And
Hmm.
it was so flippin' sweet because I really got into the root of the thing. And then I had somebody that approached me at church that Sunday and was like, "Hey, I had a dream about you." And I was like,
Mm.
"Interesting."
Yeah.
Turns out it was the same scenario that Bexley and I were in.
Yeah. That's cool.
Like this dark water. And what she said to me, and I didn't even tell anybody some of the details of this dream. She tells me one specific portion, and she said, when you were, and in it, I was standing on the water with another person. And she said, but when you were standing on the water, you were holding this massive root ball. And I knew instantly, like, it slapped me so hard. It was like, oh my gosh, like that very thing that I was purging this very morning
Yeah.
was actually the root ball of this thing.
Hmm.
And there's something about like walking by faith when you hear the things of the Lord, of what he's wanting to actually uproot,
Yeah.
and not how we're just trying to change our circumstances. Because I think sometimes with faith, we're just looking for our circumstances to change, or
Uh-huh.
we're wanting to feel different.
Yeah.
But when you can actually see what he's saying and what he's going after,
Yeah.
there's so much liberation in it
Yeah.
that you then, like, when that breakthrough moment comes, and he does, I think he's always bringing those answers.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I think so too.
it's like your belief expands, like you were saying. Like
Yeah.
faith is actually leads to belief.
Yeah.
I don't know if all that fully made sense. It
It
didn't in my
does.
brain, but
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. It becomes a part of you too.
yeah,
The belief is like, yeah, it becomes a part of you. Yeah,
yeah,
it's
you just can't you
well,
can't shake out of it.
yeah. But when you told me that dream, I know I was frustrated that day, and you told me that dream later on that day, and that morning I was in a crazy headspace that I talked about yesterday of like, this is trash. Where's all this stuff that you've shown me in the dreams? Where is all this and that?
Hmm.
It's like, why don't you just give me like, if you're whatever, why don't you give me a word for once? Why don't you have somebody reach out and say something to me for once? On a tangent. It's silly. But you called me and told me about that dream, which was encouraging too. And it's like, oh my God, look at the connectivity. Look at what he does, how he connects people
Mm.
and and all that stuff. And yeah, it is silly.
I think it's that war between like feeling like you're completely alone
Yeah.
and realizing that you're not.
Yeah. Which I mean, even that scripture on the cross, like, Father, why have you forsaken me?
Hmm.
That could be a mockery of that statement itself. Because immediately
Yeah,
after that, it's like, boom, it's done. I
yeah,
know it's a fulfilled prophecy of the Old Testament thing, but what was said,
totally.
but it's like, here's this, and here's the antidote to it right on the other side of that. Like, it's finished.
I
Um,
think you and I talked about that, like,
we did. Yeah.
where it's like you have to go fully into that place.
Yep.
You have to let yourself go all the way to the cross,
Yeah.
into that very root ball.
That's true.
Why have you forsaken me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if you think about it, that's what John saw fully.
Mhm.
that's what he was witnessing.
Yeah.
And probably with it, even his own understanding, limited understanding,
Yeah.
was like, holy crap, maybe he was forsaken.
Hmm. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
maybe I am forsaken.
Almost like you have to believe that so that he can crack it and shatter it. I don't know.
Yeah. Or you
That
have to
that maybe
take it
that
there.
is the evidence. Maybe you carry faith into the evidence that it's not true. Carry it into
Hmm.
such a reality of like this is impossible, and then it breaks through it or something. Kind of like Abraham carrying carrying his son up, Isaac up to the altar.
Hmm.
He made that decision and believed it and went up there and followed through with it. Of like this is what's going to happen, and then at the split second, he's like, "Nope, I'm good. I provide the sacrifice."
Yeah.
But
You know,
like,
I,
no, go ahead.
no, sorry, go.
Well, it gives you you can separate out of however we're feeling or whatever. Like and you look at it from his perspective. Even the tough stuff where it's like, why have you forsaken me? Like I have made it so far out here and you have just left me stranded. Like if you can look at it from his perspective, like sometimes it takes allowing us to get to a place like that in order for it to break or something like that, or for it to rear its head, that spirit or that thought or that belief of like you are why have you forsaken me? And then when you get to that point, it's like, oh cool, we got it by the head, and then he fulfills it. But it makes you look at like pressure and difficulty in a different light.
Hmm.
It's like if and our kids, it's like to a degree, I'll say you could shelter your kids. You could shelter them from the world, from everything. And then whenever something bad happens 20 years from now and they see like kind of how nasty the world can be, it's like absolutely traumatizing, messes them up, does something
Yeah.
horrible. Or we can be like, like parents that are there, and that have the boundaries and protect our children, but also allow them to experience the world and teach them how to like react and respond to it, what the correct posture is and heart.
Mm.
And so sometimes, like if Kyla goes through something difficult, I would rather her go through it and then like come talk to me about it
Yeah.
than not experience it, and then one day her
Mhm.
it'd be a detriment to her, where she can't deal with it. Because if we're more than conquerors and we're like being Christians, we're built for this world. We're built to like operate in it,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know. So that's kind of my thought. From his perspective, I'm like, I can see and understand why we get to these points because it is building us and you have not forsaken us. You're just leading us out to deeper territory and
Hmm.
expanding it. And it is good for us.
I think it's healing for us. Like if
Yeah.
you actually had the eyes to see, being led into that place
Yeah.
is absolutely healing. Like I thought of Ezekiel
Mhm.
47.
Yeah.
And it was actually I didn't even know it was a thing until I had a dream about it, to be
Mm.
honest. Um, but in Ezekiel 47, it talks about how there's like water that comes up to the ankles,
Yeah.
and then it's to the knees, and then
Mm.
um, it's the water that flows from the temple. And it's so beautiful, but it talks about it's literally mirroring Revelation 22,
Mm.
because it says in verse 12, it says, so it's basically after he's gone all the way out into this river,
Yeah.
um, that says it was deep enough to swim in, that a river could not be passed through.
Mm.
And he said, "Son of man, have you seen this?" And he led me back to the bank. And so when I saw on the bank of the river very many trees, one side and the other, which is a Revelation 22. This water flows east in the eastern region, and goes down and enters the sea. And when the water flows into the sea, the water becomes fresh. And then later down it says, and on the banks on both sides of the river there will be all kinds of trees for food. Their leaves will not wither, nor will their fruit fail, but they will bear fresh fruit every month because of the water that flows, because the water for them flows from the sanctuary. Their fruit will be for food and their leaves for healing. And it made me think about that whole concept of like being an oak of righteousness,
Yeah.
right? Our leaves are actually for the healing of the nations. But if you don't walk the path of faith, you will not be able to actually take the healing upon yourself.
Yeah.
Right? It's the whole path of healing. Everything that he does is actually not just for restoration and yes, for us to like live out fully who we are, but we're also called to heal.
Yeah.
Like the healing is so important. And I
Yeah.
think he takes us into those scenarios. Not that he causes those scenarios, I'll say that. I don't think he causes them.
Yeah.
But I think he absolutely is like, I will use this. I will use this for your healing. I will use this
Yeah.
for your good.
100%.
You know, I got a text from somebody who this young dude, he's like in his 30s. He's got like 4 kids. He just got diagnosed with an incurable cancer in his liver and in his stomach. And, you know, the doctor was like, well, we'll just make your life comfortable for the next 2 years.
Yeah.
Until you die.
Yeah.
And my only response to that was, because I was just like, I refuse to bait that.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I was like, what a moment for faith to trump this matrix.
Yeah.
And I just think like there is such a place that we can get into and even come into agreement with one another that we trump the matrix.
Yeah.
Over situations, over incurable diseases, over like, and especially if it lasts longer than what we think it should.
Yeah.
I think there's such an element of like, no, I'm going to stand in this together.
Yeah.
I'm going to choose to live in this reality together.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. That's it.
Because it's just, there's so much more. And if you are like, you know, I think about like you and I and just our friendship, I think it's so bomb. It's like when you're walking through that place and you're like, yo, I'm struggling to have faith in this.
Yeah.
We just happen to show up on each other's radar,
Yeah.
you know?
Right.
Like, and I think that's part of this walk of faith is walking it with other people.
Yeah, it is. It is. And like, even him, you know, like even you and Bexley, y'all's dream, and then the other person.
Yeah.
It's like everybody's involved in that.
Totally.
It's a family thing.
It is a family thing.
So if you're following him, he connects all the dots that you need, you know, when you need them. That's what Bill says all the time.
Mm-hmm.
He's got what you need when you need all that stuff.
Right when you need it.
Right when you need it. Yeah, that's true. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
And you can't. I've been talking a lot too about. Daniel brought it up last Wednesday about like playing Super Mario Brothers, the level. You know, you're on a different level of a game, and the boss battle at the end. You know, said that 1,000 times over the past couple of weeks though. But like, you can't kill Bowser, you know, the boss, unless you're in his castle.
Yeah.
So it's like in those moments, it's kind of like you're raiding the bad guy's castle and you're going to kill him and take his stuff and probably his head, you know. And then you get to stake the flag at the end of it, which is a symbol of like conquest, like this thing's done, and then go on to the next one. That's kind of scary, but also kind of exciting too. Even if you can look at situations and moments like, like 5 years from now, 10 years from now, can I look back and say I walked that out in faith? You can either look back and say that, or you can look back and say, yeah, that got me. You know, I turned to something else, which is still it's not the end of the world. But I'd rather look back and say, yeah, I maintained faith in that. It's like, even if I did have cancer and I did die, but I maintained faith all the way through it, that's worth it. In my opinion,
Totally.
at least I stood for it.
Well, you showed something.
Yeah, you sowed something. But you can look back on that. But the exciting thing is like once you conquer this one, the scary, simultaneously exciting thing is like, well, what's next? And
Mm-hmm.
if you conquer this thing and you were strengthened through it, your faith was like strengthened and made concrete in that, then you just go apply it to some. It could be some totally different thing too. But like just knowing, like, all right, well, I'm gonna drag this cross into this level with me. We're gonna apply it here. We're gonna kill this boss battle now. But the constant in all of them is him. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's exciting.
That was one thing I was meditating on today, is that is actually his essence is peace.
Yeah.
You know, like he's not just our peace, but he is peace. He like
Hmm.
his essence.
Yeah.
And when you're out of peace, it's actually because you've forgotten that you are one with him.
Yeah.
You've forgotten his essence is around you and in you.
Yeah.
And I think that's such a vital part of like in that faith walk.
Hmm.
And I would even say levels
Yeah.
is like how to gain peace, how to be aware of peace at all times
Yeah.
in the midst of the trial. How do you maintain a posture of awareness of his reality?
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think that's kind of the journey that everybody goes through. And
Yeah.
I think part of that, like, and that's what I mean by healing journey.
Yeah.
It's like you're healing these misconceptions and these pains and these wounds, these things that are actually robbing you of peace.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
and I think peace is, for lack of better words, but it is, I think it's level one of the kingdom,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, because it's like
Sure.
righteousness, peace, and joy. It's like,
Yeah. Hmm.
it's such a pivotal part,
Yeah.
but
That's
you
good.
can't be a testament. You can't be a beacon on, you know, a light on the hill or anything if you don't have peace.
Yeah. It's true.
You know, you'd be one to turn off and turn on and turn off and turn on. And
Yeah. Then there's nothing to see. Nothing to see
mm-hmm.
there. Nothing out of the usual.
Yeah.
When you were saying that, talking about like if you don't have peace, like I guess find it or obtain it or seek Him or whatever. It made me
Mm-hmm.
think of have you ever been like, I don't know, if you dressed up or you got nice clothes on, or it's just raining outside and you don't want to get wet, and you just kind of you sprint to your car or you get there as quick as possible.
Yeah.
But have you ever just like what if instead of doing that you just stopped and just stood in the rain and just
Yeah.
let it just soak you completely? It's like then what? But it made me
Mm.
think of that with discomfort or not having peace. It's like if you don't have peace, like go sit. It's like exposure therapy, or it's like if you're trying to
Mm.
tiptoe through the mud. Like what would happen if you just plopped down in the mud and just laid there,
Yeah.
and then sit with your thoughts in that of like, okay, I'm fully in this, and I'm sitting here, and I'm alive. I'm okay. It made me think of like almost like exposing yourself fully to something when you're in it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of like it's kind of like cold showers or whatever. Just like get in there, just do it. If you're in something, just get in the middle of it, and then sit with your thoughts and sit with the Lord on it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Even in the places of like rumination, you
Yeah,
know, like
yeah,
Zach had such a hard time with OCD, um, that he would like, you know, just anybody that deals with OCD, you just get stuck in a thought and
swirl.
you get, yeah, but you're fixated and you can't do this unless this thing gets undone. And,
Uh huh.
you know, it's just very, but to sit and think actually causes the rumination to get higher and higher and higher, and
Yeah,
to where it was so funny though, but he told me, um he was like, you know, I think the key that unlocked me was even when I realized ruminating was like, that was just a thing and I just had to like let that be. Like
yeah,
I couldn't even fix, like, to not even try to fix the fact that you're ruminating.
yeah, yeah,
It's when you sit there, when you literally just sit there and you let your thoughts just go.
Yeah. Hmm.
And then you just get present with the fact that your thoughts are going.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like I'm
You know?
ruminating right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Huh.
But it's like, he was like, it just brings me peace. And I
Yeah.
just realized, like, yeah, I'm doing this.
Yeah.
But I also realize I don't have to.
Hmm.
And I think that's where peace comes in, is when you realize, like, you're not a victim.
Yeah.
You're not a victim to anything. Like, you are here.
Yeah.
You're present and he is present.
Yep.
And whatever is being projected at you or around you or whatever scenario, it's actually for your healing
Yeah.
and for your good.
Yep.
But
Yeah. That's good.
but I think it all comes by faith, right?
Yep.
Like, it's sometimes, I think, when you're in the midst of all of that, it's so hard to see anything else.
I know it. Yeah.
It's hard to have vision.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah. It's cool. It's about faith. Yeah. It's about faith. It's kind of our weapon there. It's kind of our shtick. That's what we do.
mm-hmm.
Thing.
Yeah, but I think too, it's so beautiful because I've heard this a lot, and I feel like it's, you miss the nature of God in it.
Uh huh.
But it's like, if something is happening to you,
Yeah.
like when that young kid, I mean, he's younger than I am,
Yeah.
got diagnosed with cancer.
Uh huh.
It's that, well, it was God's will, and we know that it's God's will for this to happen, and
Yeah.
it's like, man, it hurts me that people think he's that mean,
I know it.
that he wants to inflict something
Yeah.
or force you to go into this.
Yeah.
He saw it coming, no doubt about it, because
Yeah.
he sees all.
Right. Yeah.
But to say that he inflicted it,
Yeah.
it would make me, I don't know. Like, that thought is so foreign to me now, but it breaks my heart when I hear people say that.
I know it. Me too. Me too. Even whenever he says they took, when he's ready, he'll take you, or like he took
Oh
me.
yeah,
He was, stuff like that.
it was his time to die.
Yeah, it was his time, or yeah, the Lord was ready to take him. Like he's sitting out there like some nasty chess master, like, oh, I'll take you out of that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. And rather, he's probably like, hey, invite me into this.
Think about that. That's a fun thought to go into.
Yeah.
How much of what we go through, he actually has a redemptive purpose that he wants to unlock, but because we don't ever go there with him,
Yeah.
we don't get unlocked.
Yeah.
I want bubble.
Yeah. True.
Like, what if it's like you leave coins on the table?
Yeah.
I had this dream probably back in 2013, 2014, maybe been 2013. I don't know. Somewhere in there. But I had to go through all the scenarios, and I'd gained all these coins. Well, then I had to repeat it. And when I repeated it, I got so many more. I only had to hit the high spots.
Okay.
So I didn't have to go back through the whole deal. I was only given just these certain places that I had to go to get the main coins.
Okay. Yeah.
And but I was thinking about that, like, with all these different scenarios, what if it's actually that we just missed, because of us holding on to stuff or misconceptions or whatever,
Yeah.
that we kind of miss the high points,
Yeah.
Or we miss what he's actually trying to impart to us, the gold that he's trying to give us.
Yeah. There's a comfort too in that, like what you're saying about like eating the whole lamb,
Mm-hmm.
instead of like, brushing through one wave of it and then having to come back around and scoop up the leftovers. There's something like
Yeah.
slow and calm and peaceful about sitting in there and doing the whole thing at once.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd rather slow down and get it all at once.
Yeah, yeah. That sounds like it alleviates. That sounds full, wholesome, and that it alleviates, urgency or pressure to even get out of something.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Dude,
so, yeah, sounds nice.
that's funny. I actually that reminds me. I literally just had a dream about that.
Huh.
That I was like I was I was trying to give birth early.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And
Hmm.
it was like, no, it's better for the baby if you wait.
Yeah. Yeah. Dang.
I mean, kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
It's like why not sit in it and let it fully develop?
Right. Huh. There's something there.
Yeah. Instead of just trying to dip out of the discomfort.
Yeah, and get out of it. Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
It is
What an
cool.
opportunity.
I know it. Yeah, it all is. Just got to see it. Got to see it for what it
Mm-hmm.
is.
But I think there is this place really, and I know we've talked about it, but this place of promotion that's happening with people.
Yeah.
Like the ones that are willing to kind of sit in, and no shame if you're not.
Yeah.
Like if it's been this, I've been in, I've been out, I've been like vulnerability's been hard, community has been hard. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think there's any shame in any of it.
Yeah. There's not. No. Shame is trash.
Uh-huh.
And change is there whenever you're ready for it or need it, or if even if there is something to be changed or anything. It's like, I guess, repentance, not in a shameful way, but like it's always there.
I
You get
think we're
stuck in
always
something, you can
growing in
always sit
that.
there and say, "Oh, I can change that right now."
Yeah.
It's like shame, game over, shame over, game over. Forget it. That's a
Shame
t-shirt.
over, game over.
That's a t-shirt right there.
That'd be funny.
Yeah, it would be funny.
That's epic.
Yeah, because that's another thing too. You can get to a place where it's like I'm too far. I'm too far. I've been doing this stuff for far too long, or I haven't showed up for too long. Like if I show up now, it's going to be obvious that I was, out of it.
Oh yeah.
There's
How are
definitely
people
shame
gonna
there,
see me?
but scrap the shame.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they have an understanding for if that's the case. Like me throwing my little fit, being all upset last week, whenever that was, or whatever, just having those thoughts and stuff. It's like, don't even have shame about that. It's like, it's understandable that you had those thoughts.
Totally.
Like, have some grace on yourself. Or if
Mm-hmm.
you punch a wall, or if you do something really stupid, if you decide to just get belligerently drunk one night,
Mm-hmm.
wake up, and then if you catch it and it's like, I shouldn't have done that. It's like, yeah, understandably that you did, but you don't have to do it again.
Yeah.
It's like, just chill out on yourself. And that demystifies good versus bad, period.
Yeah.
That demystifies behavior and like almost strips its power away.
Mm-hmm.
You can have some grace on yourself.
Hmm.
Then you just won't do stuff. It just doesn't, it won't be, I don't know.
Wow. That's so good.
Yeah. Anyways.
That's a good practice for the week. Have a little grace on yourself.
Yeah. Chill out. Maybe like yourself a little bit.
Yeah, dude.
Appreciate yourself.
Well, that doggo hunt, that's the one we should end on, because that's good.
That's good. Cool. Alrighty. You got anything else?
No, I think that's good.
That's
We'll
good.
see you guys next time.
Bye, guys.
If you enjoyed this episode of the Ancient Way podcast, drop us a like, share with your friends, share with your family. And if you would like to support us and what we are doing, and you would like to play a direct role in our growth and things that we do in the future,
we have a donation spot at the bottom of our show notes. So you can click on that, give however much you want. We appreciate absolutely everything. We appreciate our listeners, and everybody that's already come alongside and encouraged us, and even everybody that's been on our show. So thanks, guys.